I'm ready.
All right. We're recording.
Recording. Okay.
Recording.
Ah.
Do whatever you want to do.
I'm scared.
Don't be.
Scared. I'm scared.
Oh, me. I keep looking at the thing. I need to stop looking at the TV, and I need to stop looking at the
At me.
at the
Your co-host.
At you, at the camera. I keep kicking my little bottle of Coke.
Hakiroto. Wait, is Waho in or is Roto? Roto's out, right?
Roto's the first one. You go in and then out.
Hakiroto. Hakiwaho. Hakiroto. Hakiwaho. Okay.
Okay.
Welcome to the floor.
Welcome to the floor.
This is our new podcast.
Yes.
It's called Yous Wanna Go.
Yous Wanna Go.
As in, Yous Wanna Go? Or what'd you say? Yous Wanna Go
Yous wanna go?
with a controller?
Like, yeah, Yous
Or-
Wanna Go, like it's in fight?
or like Yous Wanna Go?
Yous Wanna Go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yous Wanna Go? Yous Wanna Go? Yous Wanna Go?
Multidisciplinary.
Yeah.
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Iwa.
I'm Cook Islands Māori and English.
And I'm Māori and Pākehā.
And in this podcast, for the foreseeable future,
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about being queer and Indigenous and playing D&D all the time.
Crazy.
And that being our favourite thing in the whole world.
Yeah.
And also the thing we talk about the most. And we feel like we've got cool things to say about it
Cool things.
that other people don't really say about
Yeah.
D&D and other TTRPGs, but mostly D&D because we don't play a lot of other TTRPG.
Hey, speak for yourself. I've
What
played
have
quite a
you
few
played?
things. I played quite a few things. You know, not like in depth as much as we've played D&D, but like, you know, good old Coyote and Crow played a fair bit of, I say a fair bit, like I've played a lot of like the setup and then like one part of a session, but I did a lot of thinking about it. And then, yeah, we've played, what is it? What's that one?
We played Candela.
We played Candela, which is fine.
A few sessions of that, like a
It's-
full, what do they call them?
A one shot?
Yeah.
A 3-shot.
It's not a campaign.
It was a
but
mini campaign.
They call them like not expedition,
A saga.
like assignments or whatever.
Right, yes. We did one of those, which was fine. It was
I've
alright.
read some other TTRPG books, but haven't played them.
I've read a lot, yeah. The thing about TTRPGs is that they're fucking massive and they take a long ass time to play and like figure out all the mechanics and everything. Like it's a lot.
And
It's a lot
getting
of
people
work.
committed to it,
Yeah.
to learning it and playing it.
It's one of the like, it's the blessing of TTRPGs, but also the curse of TTRPGs is that like you need other people to play. Not necessarily. There are some solo TTRPGs, but like I think the power and like the real like meat of a TTRPG, for me at least, is like the human component.
It's in the
There's
community.
other people being there, the community. The people. I love the people. I love the stories. I love the stuff. And it is, yeah, for me, better with other people. Not to say that like solo RPGs are not good. They're pretty great. Like there is like that reflection of like, you know, when you're on your own, you're doing your story thing, it's very like, there's a lot of self-reflection. And when you're like with other people, there's a lot of reflection, but sometimes it's not by you, it's by others. And then hearing someone else say a thing, reflecting on like a thing that you've done as a character or as a player, you're like, whoa, that's shit. That's the
That's
shit.
shit.
That's sick.
Or you get to reflect on what other people are doing
Yeah.
and how it relates to either you or the character or both.
Yeah.
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 Which I like.
Yeah.
But tons of people talk about literally that. We're special and cool.
We're more than that.
We're more than that. We're
Okay.
more than just talking about how D&D is like the easy than TTRPGs.
Yeah.
We want to talk about, like, I'm doing my PhD now.
Yes.
I'm a couple months into my PhD
Yes.
on essentially Indigenous queer people playing D&D.
Isn't that crazy?
Kinda.
It's crazy.
Is it?
That's massive. That's like
Pretty fun.
so niche of a thing to
It's
be
quite
in.
niche.
Like, yeah. And like, you know, welcome to the club of like TTRPG academia.
Yeah. You did your masters on
I
it
did
a
my
few years ago.
masters on stuff. It's not particularly great masters. It's okay. I did a lot of learning, but I did not reflect on it particularly well in the actual thesis. But I learned a lot, you know. But it is
Yeah.
like the things that I talked about. It's like, again, the things that I wanted to talk about in my like masters should have been like PhD level of like breakdown and like exploration and just like all this. Like a year is not enough to complete all the things that I wanted to do. So I just it's tough.
I'm going to stop you from talking down and shit talking your own
Okay, great.
masters though, because as an aside, the other day,
Yes.
your brother,
Yes.
our brother, your brother,
Yes. Brother.
we're in a relationship.
Yeah. We.
By the way, the two of us.
Yes.
13 years.
13 years.
So your brother,
My brother, but your
who
brother-in-law
I consider my brother
to be
because we've known each other a long time,
of course.
sent me a screenshot the other day.
Yeah.
Or sent me like 2 screenshots of my master's thesis and your master's thesis in the depository or whatever it's called.
Cool.
And you talk a lot of shit about your masters.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of views and downloads.
Really?
Yeah, like
crazy.
more than most master's theses
Crazy.
have.
That's fun. I've never had the guts to look at it. Scares the shit out of me.
It's in the thousands.
It's in the thousands.
Yeah,
That's
which
fun.
is quite a bit for a master's.
I'm not going to talk about my masters.
Anyway,
We'll talk about academia.
so we've got cool
time.
things to talk about. Yeah,
We've got
we'll
cool
talk about
things.
academia another time, even though it's intertwined in everything that we do.
But your masters is gay people.
My
and
PhD, yeah.
Your PhD is queer people, queer indigenous people, and brown people playing D&D. Mine is using TTRPGs, or was using TTRPGs to connect disenfranchised Māori to their culture. That was my whole thing.
Through TTRPGs.
Through TTRPGs. And it's fine. It was fine. I needed to do more, but it's okay. We'll talk about academia another time. So the first thing that we wanted to talk about of this thing, it wasn't that. What's our theme?
First theme for episode 1 of Yous Wanna Go.
Yeah.
An Indigenous D&D podcast where we're Indigenous and talk about D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Is therapy.
Mm.
And I think, we've kind of already slightly talked about it in the reflecting on what you do as a player and then looking at what other people are doing and reflecting on that.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, the dominant narrative discourse, whatever you want to say, about D&D as therapy is that it's no bad, don't do it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't treat D&D as therapy.
Sure.
And I think we're in agreement that that's wrong.
To a degree.
To a degree.
To a degree. Yep. In some cases. I'll let you complete your thought.
My thought is that you shouldn't treat the other people you're playing D&D with as your therapists.
Interesting. Yes. Continue.
That's part of my thoughts.
Yes.
You shouldn't expect them to be actively involved in fixing you.
Okay.
Or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Especially not without their consent. But, I think it's a safe space when you have the right people to process your own feelings and reflections on things.
Mm-hmm.
And using it as a creative outlet to do all of that is good and positive. And something that probably all TTRPGs, but again, speaking from experience of mostly only playing D&D, is something that D&D excels at providing that space for, which is a part of where the PhD comes from, is so
interesting.
The strength. One of the strengths of D&D, I think, is the community building, like you said.
Yeah.
And having a good table of people to explore those kinds of things with. Yeah.
I think you touched on a number of interesting points. The one that I'm going to start with is the one about the table, right? I think in the world at large, in our in the TTRPG gaming community, to have a good table of people is so unbelievably rare. And when we say good, we don't mean just a couple of friends rolling dice having some laughs, that is I think entry level standard of what a good D&D table is. And I think for us to know that we are at a good table, and for us to believe and trust in that table and that it is good, and we can explore these really crazy deep and meaningful things that we do on a weekly basis whenever we play, is that it can't just be us going in and rolling dice and having laughs. When we play D&D, the way that we play D&D, to begin with, it is a very high level of D&D. There's a lot going on. It is more than just playing D&D, It is more than just the mechanics that are presented in that book. It is more than just sitting around and having a chat. There are like so many cultural, sociological like layers of things that we are doing when we are playing D&D. So much of it is baked in indigeneity, and so much of it is baked in queerness. And for us to know that we are at a good table of D&D like players and like community, like though like so many of those things have to be accessible to everyone at the table. If they are not accessible, then we don't believe that it is a good table for us, you know? Like however you want to quantify what a good table of D&D is, like it's personal to the people who are at that table. For us, our standards are so high, so crazy high, but at the same time, they are so like basic for who we are as people. We are such progressive, forward-thinking, kind, loving, empathetic, knowledgeable, intelligent people. And for us to be at a table of D&D players who understand all those things, like that's entry level to us, you know? That's for us is like just like good. That's not even like perfect for us, you know? I think like, yeah. Thoughts on that?
Maybe? I mean, I think what you've described.
Yeah.
What you've described as what is an entry level good table for us. I don't think our standards are that high.
I don't think we would play at a table that isn't like that anymore.
No.
We wouldn't do it.
What I mean to say is that I don't like the way you're talking about it again is kind of shitting on yourself and your expectation. Like you think that other people are going to think that our standards are too high.
They are.
I think those standards are what we want and need and what everyone should expect from just basic community, not a table for D&D, but like that's what you should be surrounding yourself with already outside of D&D.
I agree.
And that is what makes a good, safe, strong table as well in D&D.
I think I agree. I was thinking about the way that you were talking when we were sort of like introducing the theme and the topic of all of this, about how like about like people think about the D&D table as like therapy, or you know, think about the other players as their therapists or something. I think that is a trap that a lot of people have in like the D&D world and stuff. I also think that way of thinking and that the negative connotation surrounding like therapists and therapy at the D&D table is like almost inherently like Western. I think the way that Western society thinks about therapy and thinks about therapists is a way that like Indigenous people have thought about like people in their community so often. And I think that's why so many people fall into the trap of thinking that things that they do in D&D is like therapy or like talking to a therapist. Because I think Indigenous people, like we are so used to sitting in a circle on the floor, talking to each other, understanding each other, and reflecting on each other's behaviors or situations, and like coming to an understanding with one another. That is so normal in our cultures, you know? And in D&D, there's so many analogs, I think, between D&D and Indigenous culture, where like D&D is the same thing. You're not sitting on the floor, well, maybe in some cases you are, but you're sitting around a table together with your small community, reflecting on the actions of each other as players and reflecting on complicated situations that are happening in the world, and you are confronting them together as a group and as a community. That's the thing that Indigenous people have been doing since day one and have been doing it for thousands, tens of thousands of years. And I think when some people approach the D&D table and they view it as therapy and they view their players as therapists, I think, one, potentially they don't have access to that community in other places, and so the only place where they see that sort of attention to actions and the reflective nature of like, you know, talking about situations and stuff, I think they only ever see that stuff in other therapists and in therapy and all that sort of stuff, and so they misconstrue the relationship they have with their players as that of a therapist and with therapy. And I think for us, I have always viewed our D&D table, you know, this is a problem, I think, for me, because not every table that we've ever played at has had the capacity to understand the way that we play D&D in this way. But for me, whenever I go into a D&D table, I'm approaching it from an Indigenous lens. I am approaching it from like, I am here to sit with my community, give them complicated situations that I know in my, like, as the DM or as the person controlling this world, I am going to present them with situations that will push them to think critically about what is going on in their lives and in like the lives of their players, but something that they can overcome creatively and in a way that will feel satisfying to them, you know? So that like, it's almost like you're by proxy triggering that ability to connect and like forge those connections with the players at the table to confront these things like as a team and to like actually solve those problems. And I think some people view that as therapy, whereas I view it as just taking the Indigenous way of doing things and not gamifying it, because that's gross and stupid. I don't like gamification in the way that like we think about it all, but it is bringing a formality to it that mechanics of D&D have and turning it into a storytelling like machine, into an engine for storytelling. Machine sounds gross, but I think it's an engine. It is something that is, it pushes these stories to the forefront. Yeah, that's me anyway. But yeah.
Oh, what's that word?
I don't know.
It's like, I can't think of the word. I was trying to think of a less like gross industrial word than machine or engine to like pull away from the gamification jargon. Yeah. I think I wonder.
Yes.
You've made me wonder if like when people, and I think Indigenous people as well in the post-colonial, in the colonized era, can also not have that like access to that kind of community and can be disconnected from the Indigenous knowledges and ways of being, where we do sit around and wānanga for hours and stuff. Yep. And like, as a person who's not Māori, Aotearoa Māori, we don't, well, I don't wānanga in Cook Island contexts because I'm not in them all the time. Yeah. But I wonder if for people playing D&D who are seeing those kinds of opportunities for the first time, where they get to reflect and get to work with others and like connect with others over the table and see that as therapy because they have less things to relate it to or to recognize it as. If it's also like that kind of teamwork problem solving thing removed from, and again, this is another episode theme that we'll get to at some point, but removed from like the capitalist machine as well. Like they're not there for any reason other than to be there with others. And it's one of the only times that in the big year 2026, it's one of the only times people are given to be in that scenario. Like if they're solving like when you're applying for a fucking job, sorry, we're not supposed to swear as much.
It's okay.
When you're applying for a job, in the capitalist world, and like, you know, they're looking for your skills and the things that set you apart from others so you can get money and live. Like problem solving is one of the things. And that's also one of the things people like sell D&D with when you want to like convince them to teach their kids to play or whatever, or to like run a D&D club at school. Sure. It's like, it's going to teach your kids problem solving, which is useful when they enter the workforce. But it's also, so it like problem solving and the skill of problem solving becomes something that we equate with employability and making money. We can sell ourselves to others and to companies with that skill. So then, I wonder if people are playing D&D, doing problem solving, connecting with others, working in a team, but they're like, oh, but I'm not being paid for this. And my only other comparison for this is paying somebody else to get me to do it. Like therapy. Yeah. I don't know. That was just what I was thinking.
Yeah. I think, I think there's so many things like, again, like we could sit here forever and talk about the ways that capitalism, colonialism, and Christianity and all those, the big 3 C's have like such a deep and profound impact on the way that not just we navigate through the world and through D&D, but also everyone at large, you know? Like, it's
we'll get to it.
The whole
eventually.
Point of this podcast is that, like, we sit and we break down our relationship to D&D in, like, so many, like, deep cultural, meaningful ways. And, like, to do that, there's a lot of reflection that we have to have about life itself and about navigating the world as the people that we are. And I think, like, that also comes with, like, reflecting on how other people make their way through the world, you know, and how, like, you know, you're reflecting on how capitalism has forced people out of community and stuff like it. I mean, it's true, right? Like, I think there's been this big swing, you know, if we attribute the success of D&D to the rise, you know, the success.
I have a lot of thoughts about what we can attribute to the rise of D&D and the Renaissance, but we can get to another time.
Be slightly reductive and say that it's Stranger Things, right?
Oh, sure.
2016, and say that, like, the rise of D&D was purely because of Stranger Things.
The rise of binging TV.
Binging TV. I think there has been, in the last decade at least, a really big upswing in probably more than that, maybe almost 2 decades. A big upswing in people really embracing, like, nerdy stuff and, like, being a nerd and loving nerdy things, classically nerdy things. And, like, the D&D culture of it all, the shift to playing D&D was, like, almost, I feel like, you know, I don't believe in destiny, but I also feel like it's kind of predestined in that, like, people were so lacking in community, especially nerds, you know? We didn't have, like, the sports teams, you know? We didn't have that. We didn't have, like, the community of, like, the hot girls doing the cool shit. Like, you know, like, we didn't have our boys. Like, we had, like, some of us had Discord, you know, to play video games on, but some... Eventually, at the time, it probably would have been Skype, I think, was still the thing.
TeamSpeak?
I think 15 years ago, when thing was, it was probably like Skype or Discord, one of them. Anyway, like, we had, like, people to play online with, but we never met in person. Like, board games were also, like, on the upswing.
There was then, like, that in between time when, like, LAN parties stopped.
Yes.
Before Discord began.
Yeah.
Where, like, nothing was really happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, multiplayer video games were starting to become better, like, easier to connect to
do.
Yeah. But then, like, we lost that physical nature of things. You know, LAN parties were fun because you could see your mate across the room. But then D&D came along, and it became another way for nerds to formalize hanging out and building community in person, you know? Which is, like, I think, beautiful, but also, like, horrifying that, like, we as a society, in Western society, so lacking in community that a game funded by Hasbro, made by people in LA, in, you know, Wizards of the Coast, I think West Coast America, I don't fucking know.
One of the coasts,
Wizards of the Coast made a game, or sort of revamped a game in 2014, you know, that became D&D 5e, a game that was created by a fierce racist and sexist man in the 70s or 80s, whenever the fuck it was, you know, a creep. And then we used that game, we took that new game, you know, the Waidua, if we talk about the Waidua implications of, like, that thing coming along, and now that is the game that we are playing in the modern day, it's like, whoa, there's a lot to break down there. But it's horrifying to me that this hugely commercialized thing became our, like, main sort of, like, excuse to hang out with each other, to build community.
To talk about therapy as well. It, like, admittedly became, like, a lifeline for you especially.
Yep.
At points in
for sure.
life.
Yeah. And to have it, like, I think it is quite stunning that, like, you know, the evolution of how it is this hugely commercialized thing that, like, it's become sort of, you know, it's come from LA or where, you know, the Americas come here, and now we've, like, changed it into this thing that, and now it has, like, this life of its own, at least for us, you know, like, every game is different. Every game of D&D is completely different. But for you and me, the game that we play Yeah, for sure. Like, totally saved my life, at least, you know.
Saved your life, shaped me as a person.
Shaped you as a person.
Which probably, admittedly, has saved my life.
I want to say D&D saved my life. It's one of the contributing factors. Definitely gave me
medication also helped.
Medication, therapy, some of it. Good support network. Yeah.
A wonderful GP.
A wonderful GP. Get a good doctor.
Get a good general practitioner. They'll save your life. Shouts out to our GP.
Yeah. You know who you are. As if she's watching this. Yeah. Imagine. But yeah. The way that we use D&D is very different to the way that other people use D&D. And I think, like, it's very beautiful, but also, like, yeah, in almost a soul-wrenching way, I think, that we use, you know, for we've been playing D&D for 7 years? 6 years?
8 maybe?
8 years?
I don't know.
And it wasn't until, like, last year that we really got like a good table of people, like a beautiful table of people, and we could play the game that we really wanted to play. You know, we could tell the big stories that we really wanted to. I still don't think I've fully flexed my narrative muscles in the way that I want, but I'll get there. You know, whereas like all the games that we've played up until now, we've strived to build community in them. We've strived to tell these big, deep, and meaningful stories. And some of it landed, some of it didn't, because most people were there to just hang out and roll dice, as opposed to, you know, building community, building a safe space, building and telling beautiful stories with the other people at the table. It's very, it's tough.
It's tough. I have a lot of thoughts.
Yes.
Mostly, like, this is the thing we talked about before we started. Well, we've been preparing ourselves, planning to make this podcast. Mm-hmm. You suggested at one point that we should have a notebook so that we can write down the things that we wanted to respond to based on the points that you were making.
Yep.
And we haven't got that right in front of us. So I'm going to try and remember. But the problem is that, like, I don't know about you exactly, or if you want to explain.
Sure.
But for me, I latch on to the first thing that I decided that I wanted to respond to, and then I try really hard to remember that thing, that I forget about all the others.
Perfect.
My first one that I wanted to respond to is kind of inconsequential and is probably better off for a later episode.
Don't worry about it.
But it's something that I'm always thinking about.
Yeah.
Which I'm always thinking about everything that we're ever going to talk about on this podcast, because it's my PhD now and it's my life. But it's about, like, the popularity of D&D. In the Renaissance, and your like horror at something that is so capitalistically founded becoming like counterculture. Again, you didn't use the words counterculture, but it made me think that we should probably mention counterculture. And like,
do you want to explain what counterculture is?
I'm not very confident enough in it. I'm in month 3 of my PhD.
Your understanding
counterculture, my understanding right now is that it is, like, it's the spaces and the cultures that people who do not fit into the mainstream or are actively oppressed by the mainstream or let down by the mainstream go to create safe space and be in community with each other. And like, my first exposure to counterculture as a term was the board game restaurant in our city that was called Counterculture. That we went to a couple times. That was just a board game cafe, essentially. It wasn't really a restaurant, it was a cafe. And it's just like, even though inevitably a lot of culture and consumery culture starts from like that capitalist place, but when it becomes counterculture, it's like the community of people that it's serving becomes bigger than you can never really become bigger than the capitalist implications, because Hasbro's huge. But individuals and communities and small groups of friends like ours get so much more out of it holistically than Hasbro is getting monetarily. Even though we spend a lot of money on D&D.
Thousands of dollars on D&D in this household.
But,
woof.
Like, I genuinely think we're getting more out of it than they are. Because, like, what's money to friends and family?
Wow. Not wrong. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, it's the horror that that you mentioned experiencing.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm fascinated by how we, as people that interact with this kind of counterculture, do like rationalize it. And it's a conversation we've had before, and a conversation that my PhD supervisor has tried to have with me, but I'm not prepared for yet.
Okay.
Is like how we rationalize still playing D&D when there are other things out there, like with your horror at the Capitalist and the Wizards of the Coast and all of that.
Yeah.
I think that is why a lot of people do stray from D&D to other TTRPGs. Absolutely. And we just haven't.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Did you want to talk about that?
Straying from D&D?
Yeah.
Remember before we started this podcast and you were like, maybe we shouldn't shit talk D&D in the first episode of our podcast where we talk about D&D for every episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean...
Yeah, may as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
I think for me, Brennan Lee Mulligan has said something along these lines.
Yeah.
But basically, for Brennan, when he was the way he explained it on a podcast, I don't know, freaking years ago, is that he uses D&D as a gaming engine, right? Yeah. He uses it because everyone knows the language of D&D. Everyone knows the mechanics of D&D. He just wants to turn up and tell stories. That's his thing, right? And I think to some degree, that's the same for me. I just want to turn up and tell stories. Like, the game truly doesn't matter to me. Like, you know this. I know this. D&D combat's boring. We're so bored of it.
Yeah.
We're so over it. But the ability to turn up at the table and, like, you know, the mechanics of D&D help you tell a more, like, random story, you know? Like, as in that, like, you have the ability to level up your character, which gives you some numbers, so that when you roll a dice, you have the element of chance, the element of randomness, and then you add your own character's ability to that number, and that can give you a different outcome. You can succeed or fail based on a mechanic, right? That is, like, a simple, like, ability engine that D&D has. Not all, like... There are some games that exist in the world that are more complex than that. I don't really want that.
Yeah.
I don't need that to tell a good story. I don't need to do that. So for TTRPGs, people want to rock up and they want to roll dice, you know? Again, we've played many games of D&D with many different people, different tables and everything. And every time people get into the hobby, it's because they want to sit down around a table and roll some dice, you know? Like, that's why they're there. And I used to think that was the priority too, but I quickly learned that, the actual cultural value of D&D is sitting around and telling stories. But people need to get introduced to the medium. They need to latch onto the thing that drew them in, and that is the rolling of the dice. So the game needs to be there in those instances. Now that we're playing this game, we've been playing this game, our beautiful table. I will always talk about our beautiful table of queer brown people that we play D&D with. We've been playing for a year. I don't think we need the game. We don't use the game mechanics. I make up game mechanics all the time, and they're more interesting and, like, they fit the game that we are playing better. So, like, right now, we've been playing for a year. We're at the point where we could branch out into a different game. It's just, right now, if we did that, then the new game mechanics would be so obstructive to the stories that we're trying to tell, because we then have to relearn all the mechanics. We have to relearn all of the things. The game becomes more present than it is right now. The D&D that we know and understand, the mechanics that we have, are second nature. We can just roll a dice and we know what to do. We know what to do with all the mechanics of things because we've been playing it for so long. The reason we are playing D&D still, for me, is because of the the transition away from it. D&D is essentially Google, the Google of TTRPGs. Everyone uses it, everyone understands it. But now we're in our little niche group. It is more feasible and more likely that we will move away from it. But it has to be a whole table thing, and we all have to be aware of it, and we all have to do it together. And it will be uncomfortable, as is disassociating yourself from Google. It will be uncomfortable moving away from D&D. But it is a thing that not only we want to do, it is a thing that many people want to do.
Yeah. I think it's funny that again, we're making this podcast about D&D. While actively every second of the day being like, God, we got to stop playing D&D. We got to play a different game.
We got to get out of here.
We have to change systems. It's like, like canceling our Spotify subscriptions recently, which we both did.
It was tough
to move on to different things. And it is like, it's just difficult to uncouple yourself from a bunch of things that have become so intertwined with your life.
Yep.
Like I had to uninstall Spotify on every single device that I have.
Yeah.
And then I like go looking for new music in like the Discord servers that I'm in and stuff.
Yep.
And everyone uses a Spotify link.
Yep.
I'm like, now I have to, open my own tab and search for this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it is frustrating that the one thing keeping us really from changing away from D&D is the work of changing away from D&D.
Yep.
And like, it'll be uncomfortable, and I would like probably only do it at the start of a new campaign, not partway through.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know how the fuck Critical Role did it.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I think one of the strengths of D&D.
Wait, what do you mean Critical Role did it? Did they change away from D&D?
The first campaign.
Yeah.
Because their home game was Pathfinder, and then they changed to 5e for the live stream.
Yep.
Yeah, I know it's not like a drastic change or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think one of the strengths of D&D is how inconsequential. So I really like that word. Inconsequential. The actual mechanics of the game are, and that you can just.
I need something to lean against. My back's killing me.
Yeah. See?
We're on the floor.
We're on the floor. Welcome to the floor.
Welcome to the floor.
Maybe we should just name the podcast that instead.
No.
No, I like Use Wanna Go.
Yeah, it's good.
It's fun. There's multiple meanings.
We still haven't really explained it very well.
Nah, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Eventually. We also haven't really explained who we are very well either.
No, not really. We just kind of jumped
I'm sure that'll happen at some point over time. D&D.
D&D.
What are the strengths?
Yeah.
Is that the mechanics are so inconsequential that you can just remove them when you... It's like, this is something you say a lot of the time too, and that I've adopted, is learning the rules so that you can break them.
Yeah.
And I feel like people move away, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe we're wrong about everything that we're ever going to say in this podcast and every episode, and people are going to be mad about it.
Maybe.
And you know what? I don't care. I think people move away from D&D to find other systems that have the rules that they want.
Yeah.
Like, so many people have a problem with D&D because there isn't enough rules around storytelling.
Yeah.
So they move to other systems that do have more storytelling mechanics to help you tell the story.
Yeah.
We don't need that help.
No.
So we don't need those rules.
No.
If we move to another system where those rules were in play, it would just get in the way of us telling the story.
Yeah.
And then, like, the mechanics of D&D for combat are so dull and repetitive that you can also just kind of ignore those and use them when you want.
Pretty much.
When it is the actual useful thing to use.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I think people move away from D&D to other systems for is for character creation, which again will be another episode that we will talk about at some point.
Sure.
But like, I keep seeing people talking about how D&D isn't good for like making customized characters.
Yeah.
And I still also don't think that's really a problem that we have.
No.
Mostly because you're an incredible DM who is very good at like composing a character with the player.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking from experience as the player in all of your campaigns, you're very good at letting me make a character with you that may be outside of the bounds of D&D, but still fits into like expectations and the skill level and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That I think maybe other people just don't get from their DMs. Maybe like it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
I mean, like, I cheat. You know, like the hack is go to university for 4 years bachelor in like game design and design stuff, and then do a master's in game design and TTRPG design, and then hyperfixate on storytelling and game design from a very young age, and then all of a sudden, like, I read, you know, just be able to read any game in the world, any game book or anything, and then you can extrapolate like what the actual balance of things is. And then if you can, like, if you understand the balance of a game, it means that you can sub things in and out very easily. And the thing about D&D is that there's so many rules, and there's so many customization things that you can do, that you can just swap them in and out essentially, as long as the thing's not broken in like a bad way, as long as it's not overpowered or anything, it's fine. It ultimately doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I remember when we started playing the game of D&D, Aarakocra had just come out, and prior to that, flight in D&D was such a big deal. If you could fly, oh my god! Like, I think Asimar maybe came out at the same time, or was the release before that. But Asimar came out, they can only fly for a minute. They were like trying so hard. It's like, oh, you're an angel, you can only fly for a minute because flight is so broken. Yeah. And then Aarakocra came out, they realized flight doesn't matter. It just means you can
vertical movement.
Yeah, it's just you can move on another axis. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, it truly doesn't, like,
it doesn't actually make you in like way more powerful than you were before. You're just in the air. What to do? It's
cool. Like, you can, like, definitely you know, it is in some cases overpowered, but like, truly only if you're creative, you know? Like, it's only as difficult as you are. It's only difficult if you're like not creative. But like, if you're playing D&D, chances are you're creative anyway. It ultimately doesn't matter. It's like, now you can fly whenever. Like, it doesn't matter. It truly doesn't matter. So like,
Aarakocra just fly
forever.
Wow.
Yep. Which is why one of our characters, our player characters, she has the ability to fly. She has wings.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just fly. Doesn't matter.
True.
It truly doesn't matter. And so
I didn't realize that was because she was Aarakocra.
She's not. Yeah, we made her.
Well, yeah. Like, but I didn't realize it was from that, like, pulled
that
over
philosophy.
from that stat block or whatever you want to call it.
Because it doesn't matter. And like, you know, we play that game often. Like, she is targeted a little bit less, but at the same time is targeted more because she has flight and is distant and can shoot fireball at me. So I'm like, oh, you're in the air? Great. Someone else who can shoot fireball is going to throw one at you. Done. Like, yeah. It doesn't matter.
It's only... It's only like, I was going to say it's only overpowered when it's like circumstantially. Yeah. But even then, like, it has the kind of utility sometimes as like featherfall. Yeah. Which is like, cool. Great. Yeah, good. Great. Cool. Good on you. It's helpful.
Like, like, there's that gaming philosophy. You know, we play a lot of games, a lot of video games, so many games, board games, whatever. But there's the gaming philosophy that Overwatch used to have. You know, we love Overwatch. Oh my god.
Another toxic game that we can't uncouple ourselves from.
Can't get away from, but I love it so much. I hate myself for it. The gaming philosophy of Overwatch on launch is that if everything's broken, nothing's broken. You know, if everything is overpowered, nothing's overpowered. And they wanted to really like emphasize the hero fantasy of each character. They wanted everything to play into the fantasy of who you were. Like, my favorite one, the one that I know the most about, obviously, is Sombra, right? Everything about her is being a stealthy, hacky ninja assassin person, right? Not ninja, but, you know, like a stealthy assassin-y hacker person. Like, she has like all this, like, her color palette tells that fantasy. Her abilities tell that fantasy. And like, back in the day, she had the absolutely broken ability to silence every character in her EMP for 6 seconds, which is a stupid ability. But like, the way that they balanced the game was to emphasize that she can disable all these abilities, she can do all this crazy stuff, she is very powerful. And that got annoying in a multiplayer game, because when she used all those abilities, she was using them against other people. And that was the case with every character in Overwatch. Everyone was a little bit overpowered in an annoying way. It didn't feel good when this ability was used against you, because it just felt cheaty in a bad way. The idea that everyone like could do a cheaty ability just felt shit when it was done to you. So they balanced it so that no one had those cheaty abilities anymore. And it felt good when those things happened to you, because that meant that the player playing against you had skill, you know? And you're like, oh, I can't fault that person for playing that character or doing that thing because they have skill. The thing about D&D is that you're not playing against other people. You're playing against monsters or baddies.
You're playing against your DM.
You're playing against the NPCs. Yeah, you're playing against your DM. And like some DMs have a really big problem. They're like, oh, I want my monster to be good. Oh, you beat my monster. Meh, meh, meh. And that's, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I don't care for myself. Like when my monsters get or my baddies get beat, like it doesn't matter. Like the point of like, for me, for an enemy in D&D is to die or like to get beat, you know? The point is for them to lose the fight. It's meant to feel satisfying. It's meant to feel good. You're meant to feel like powerful against these people, which is, you know, if I build the entire game or if I build your characters to be so powerful against these people, you feel good. You feel like a hero. You feel empowered to do crazy cool shit. And then when I make you, you know, when I rip all those abilities away, not your abilities, but I rip that feeling away, it's like, oh no, all of these things that you can do ultimately don't matter against X character because they're a god or they're an archfey or an archdemon or whatever the fuck. Then like you feel that loss, you know? Like that's where like you're no longer playing into the fantasy of like the hero. You've had the hero fantasy stripped away from you. That's an interesting story point, you know? I don't care if you're overpowered, because if you're overpowered, then I can do like so many things with that. I can rip away your overpoweredness, or I can make something overpowered, more overpowered than you, fight you, and then you just lose because like a cooler thing's fighting you. It's like, oh no, like it's just, there's so many more interesting ways to play with overpoweredness aside from just nerfing you, taking away all your cool abilities, because I can't think of a creative way to deal with it. Like, I don't know. I think for me, like understanding all those game systems, understanding all those fantasies and everything helps me create a more like dynamic way to deal with overpoweredness and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we should probably get back to therapy.
Yeah.
We kind of went on a massive tangent about just D&D in general. Right? Yeah, I suppose. But if we get stuck in the spiral of shit talking D&D, we're never going to leave it.
Right.
When really, we love playing D&D.
We love playing
D&D. And it's
D&D.
one of our favorite things to do.
I love playing TTRPGs.
I love being around a table with my friends.
Yeah. D&D is an unwelcome but necessary guest. I hate D&D.
God, what is the word that I'm trying to think of?
I don't know.
I want to say like enabler, but it's not the enabler. it's the like the catalyst.
The catalyst, yeah.
Like that's kind of the word that I'm thinking of, but it's not exactly it.
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah.
When we were preparing for this episode,
yes,
and like when we were preparing for this podcast in general,
yes,
we were trying to come up with a structure.
Yeah.
And you suggested bringing like a moment from our game.
Sure.
That we bring a moment each and we talk about it in relation to the theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really have an exact moment.
Okay.
And I wasn't like, I was trying to think of an exact moment. I couldn't really think of one. I was just thinking of the general vibe.
Sure.
And then today, like when I was making our coffee and tea and just thinking about, like you mentioned Brendan Lee Mulligan already as well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're people that exist in the year 2026 that play D&D. We know who Brendan Lee Mulligan is. So I made our drinks in my 2 dropout mugs.
With Brendan's speeches on them.
That have that one from Game Changer.
Yeah.
And then this one from Fantasy High.
About smoking some bacon.
About, what's his name? Cubby?
The Cubbies.
The Cubbies.
The
I can't remember his actual, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But his like, little monologue speech thing about laws, threats made by the dominant socioeconomic class in any given nation, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And in relation to therapy, I think it's impossible for us as queer Indigenous people to not like the way that we deal with politics, I guess, in D&D, to me, is some of the therapy that I go through playing D&D. Like you were talking about creating, like in relation to combat at least, like you're making NPCs and things for us to defeat to feel good. But you also present us with scenarios that we explicitly as queer and Indigenous people want to have creative solutions to, and a lot of those things are, in our game at least, imperialism and colonialism, to a lesser extent capitalism. We kind of just threw that away, and it just doesn't exist.
We kind of just stopped using money.
Just kind of, money
doesn't exist.
Money's not real.
No.
And doesn't matter.
It does in places where I explicitly don't want you to like it.
Yeah. Where you want it to feel bad.
Yeah. That's some narrative, some environmental storytelling. As soon as there's a system in which someone asks you, "Hey, that'll cost you 2 gold," you're like, "Whoa, money! Hey!"
But then it's also fun as the people that we are, or at least as me.
Yeah.
I like being presented like in a scenario. You put us in a situation where there's a person selling some goods, goods or services. Yeah. And like you get us to like them as people because they also have that sort of like queer Indigenous vibe, whatever it is, where they're like also pretty anti-capitalist, anti-establishment, whatever situation that they're in. I like being the person that gives them like a year's worth of their salary in one go as well. And they're like, "Oh, this was 2 copper." And I'm like, "Here's 10 gold. Yeah. Live it up." That's one of my favorite things to do as well. It doesn't happen often anymore because we did kind of just do away with capitalism and the world's ending in our game. So there isn't a lot of situations where we're shopping. No. But, and I think it's also funny that like, we talk a big game about coming up with like creative ways to deal with the problems of imperialism. Yeah. And then sometimes you present us with the problem of imperialism, we're just like, kill it. Die. Just die.
Which I think is like an inherently Indigenous way to deal with things. Like listen to me. Like, I'm not saying that like Indigenous
people are inherently violent.
That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is so many people see like it's a very colonial way of looking at things, and a very, I think like, what is the thing? What, like, leftist politics? What's the like Democrat? Whatever.
Like that TikTok liberals, we saw the other day.
Liberals. Oh, okay. It's a liberal way of doing something. If they see someone who is doing something bad, they're like, "Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk with them and understand." It's like, no. They're committing genocide. Yeah. Die.
At a certain point, you're tired of it. Yeah. And in the real world, we're tired of it, but we can't just solve those problems how we would in D&D. No. But in D&D, sometimes you're just like, this isn't that complicated, actually. You're evil.
You're evil. Die.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I agree. Yeah. We're in agreement.
Yeah. It's like, we're Indigenous. Like, we know when people are doing us wrong. You be gone. See you later. See you never. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the therapy as well, is like having the agency as people to just, like, we're able to choose the way that we want to deal with the situation because, like, you want us to go through that. Yeah. I think that's another thing maybe about using the D&D table as therapy and when you shouldn't, is like forcing other people to do it with you. Yep. You're creating a situation and a story and like an environment, and we were pretty explicit about it from the beginning. Do session zeros with your campaign.
Session zeros, a hack to life.
We were pretty explicit in the beginning about what themes, particularly imperialism, we were going to deal with throughout the campaign, and like checking with everybody to what extent they wanted to deal with it. Yeah. And I think as queer and Indigenous people playing at a table with explicitly exclusively only other queer and Indigenous people. Yeah. When we were like, we're going to deal with imperialism and there's going to be a lot of racists.
Did we say that? Is there a lot of racists?
Because we use like that template or whatever for a session zero where it like lists all the possible content warning things, and one of them was racism, and I remember we were doing the session 0 with 3 people that we hadn't played a campaign with before that play at our table, and we got to the bit about racism, and me and you were both just like, now hang on. So people
everyone started laughing. It was great.
People are gonna be racist, but you 100% are supposed to hate them and kill them. Like, that's the point.
If you want to kill them, you totally can. That's okay.
Okay. And I think there's also something about the way that we play D&D that I've discussed both with people that we do play our in-person game with. Yeah. And like other, I don't know, just other random people that we don't play with, but I've talked to about D&D with. Yeah. Is like, and we've talked about it a lot too, is the stereotypical fantasy racism of like, tieflings are evil because they're from the fucking layers of hell or whatever, and drow are evil because they're from the Underdark, and dwarves are they're
obsessed with gold.
They love to dig and like whatever, all that crap. Yeah. And we don't do that kind of racism based on the species or whatever. Yeah. Well, I don't know what we want to call it for this podcast.
I think species is good.
Species. We'll just use the terminology of 2024. Yeah. Yeah, we do what is just imperialism and the racism that comes with that. Yeah. Like, there's always the other D&D games that you see around, even like Brennan Lee Mulligan's ones and stuff, where peoples are still divided by their species. Yes. There's countries where they're almost exclusively, these are the orcs. Yeah. And this is where they are from. And maybe they're not like a racist depiction of orcs. Yeah. But they're still like segregated for whatever reason. And there's always a reason. And sometimes it's often not very compelling or interesting. Yep. And then in our game, it's very like, people are just from wherever the fuck
they
want to be from. Yep. It's the world's thousands of years old. Who gives a shit where you're from? Yep. It's like the racism comes in from the imperialism of one nation trying to take over another. Yep. And there's a shit ton of different kinds of people in that nation. Yeah. Because that's how it works. Yep. When it's a fantasy world and you can be whatever you want to be.
Whatever you want to be. Yep. I think there is a lot of like, the way that we have made our game is there is just a melting pot or whatever the fuck it's called. Like there's just so many cultures and so many peoples and so many faces and types of people and whatever else in like our world and in different cultures. Like it, like, you walk into a city, you could see anyone. You could see a demon, you could see an angel. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. Like, I think part of the way that we've constructed the narrative and the narrative conceit of walking into a city and being able to see anyone, I think that is therapy for us. Yeah, that's, like it's the kind of world that we want to see. It's like the way that you walk into a city, you see any kind of person. I think is like, anyway, you see them and you're like, yeah, whatever, like, and cool. Like, what are you up to? It's like, oh, nothing. Like they're just so normal. They are just a part of the world. Like their race, their species, their ethnicity ultimately doesn't matter. Like,
I don't see color. Sorry.
It's not the thing that defines them. It is a part of who they are, and like it's a thing that like you could find out about them if you were friends with them. But like you don't just walk up to a random stranger on the street. You're an angel? Tell me about that. Like that's weird. That's racist.
Why do you have wings?
Why do you have wings? Like that's a weird question, bro.
Hey, why do you get those eyes? Horns from your mum or your dad?
Like that's freaky and weird. Yeah. Like us being able to walk into a city as real life people and not get looked at, that's an actual dream. That's a fantasy, Yeah. But we're gay and indigenous, and we're also neurodivergent. So the way we just stand and hold our bodies is different to the way that everyone else does. We stand in the middle of a street, we look way different to everybody else for so many reasons. Being able to walk into a street in D&D and just be normal, just be like everybody else, and like have everybody else be so unbelievably different from everybody else, but that's okay. That's a dream. That's a fantasy. That is breaking down so many layers of trauma and so many layers of racism and all these things that we've been dealing with, just having that in our world, it's fucking great.
And you said it's like the world that we want to see.
Yeah.
But I also think that like that is the world that we do see around our own table.
Yeah.
Like it's so normal for us to, and especially I mean outside of the table, in our own community, in the communities that we're building and that we're trying to create for ourselves outside of D&D, they are largely queer and Indigenous for the most part. That it is normal to us. That we kind of don't really like. I don't even think we really acknowledge it very often in D&D anymore. It's not necessarily expected, but it's just like known. And I think we're mostly talking about species, but the queerness as well is there. And like the other day, last week or whenever it was, we went to that market. We went to an art market in town. That was predominantly queer people.
So many gay people. It was great.
And we walked in and we're queer and we're Indigenous and we're neurodiverse, and so was 90% of the room.
No one looked at us weird. We were fine.
And it's that kind of normalcy that I think we crave on the daily basis. We don't get very often. But we can create that space for ourselves with the table that we play with and the game and story that we're telling. Which is why D&D is great and we love it and we play it all the time. Except it's fun.
I hate it.
It's really not that
Evil.
much really D&D. It's just we call it that because who's going to say TTRPG every time?
Me. You should say it. TTRPGs. D&D for us right now is our catalyst for storytelling.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. I think it's okay to say that. I did have a moment that I wanted to
I
have a moment.
The segment that we're gonna be calling but not actually calling Play the Game.
Play the Game. A play.
Which is a play.
Yeah.
A riff.
A riff.
On like a play of the game.
Yeah.
I don't have many things to relate it to.
Yeah.
Other than Overwatch. I can't. What was it called in Call of Duty? I can't remember.
Highlight.
Something. It was like the kill or some shit.
Kill of the game.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. What's your play of the game?
It is not necessarily a play by someone else. It is, for me, it is a way in which I guess it is like a bit of therapy, right? In like the Western sense of therapy, I guess. In like that it is reflective, it is helping me grow as a person and helping me do a thing, and it is something that I do at the table. I do it literally every single time we play. It is my understanding of death, right?
Yeah.
My understanding of death is based on, for me, like I know this every time we play D&D. I understand this. I'm carrying this with me every time we're playing D&D. Trigger warnings for all the bad things. I had a unbelievably difficult childhood to the point where I, like at a very young age was suicidal and was and have been up until very recently, like just like, every day has been a struggle. Every day is difficult. And the idea of dying seemed so much more appealing than waking up and having to deal with the day. Like, death seemed like an easier alternative to being alive and having to deal with things. And I've grown from that. I no longer feel like that. I love being alive, and death, I'm not afraid of it per se. I understand that it is an inevitability that will come for me someday, but I, at this moment, do not think it is an inevitability that death will come at my own hand. I am very aware that I love life and I want to continue doing that thing. So, in D&D, there is a hyperfixation that so many people have, and I think it's like the kind of dude bro way of playing D&D. So many people are hyperfixated on death and real death and like, the repercussions of death and dying in the game. It's like, oh hell yeah. If I can't die in D&D, then it doesn't really matter to me. I love a good death in D&D, and like it's a really big deal to them. And in D&D, for me, I wanted death to mean something more, right? I wanted it not to be the full stop in the story of a character, because that's really boring and unsatisfying. And so everything that I kind of do in D&D as a DM is all the stories, the narratives, they all point towards the idea that there are worse things that can happen to you as a person than death. There are horrific things that can happen to you in life. There are, the horrific thing could just be living alone, living without love. That's terrifying. And so many people in the real world feel that every day and choose the alternative, the alternative being easier than having to live alone. And so much of the game that we play is me like processing the idea and trying to communicate the idea through the story that is like, death is not the worst thing that can happen to you, man. Like, it's actually probably the most boring thing that can happen to you, because that's just it. It's over. You don't get to think anymore. You don't get to be with that character. You don't get to be that person anymore. Boring. Who cares? Like, pushing your character, pushing them, and to see what they're truly made out of, like their spirit, their waitwa, like who they are as a person, and like, yeah, getting them to confront really difficult shit. That's more interesting to me. That's more meaningful to me than just killing them just because, just because they lost a fight to some overpowered goblins. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, and I think that there's probably a lot of people out there that do still play D&D, and maybe dude bro is the wrong terminology.
Maybe.
But like, I think there's still a lot of people that play D&D who value just the basic systems of combat, rolling dice, dying, and permadeath of your character and stuff. Like, there is, I'm sure, many people who play the game that get attached to their character and then die, and like, just that experience of being attached and then losing them is like the highlight of playing D&D. But the type of game that we play is more reliant on the story that you tell with that character, and again, using death, if it does happen, even though it's not the be all end all, using that as a catalyst to change the story that you're telling with them somehow. Whether that is to reveal to the other people you're playing with, or to yourself, if it's something you don't expect to happen until they die, of like, maybe death isn't important to them and they find the act of dying and the process of coming back as like, again, inconsequential and not important. And that's interesting. That's an interesting story to tell, is that, your character doesn't care about dying and is like kind of blasé about it. What does that say about them and their relationships with others? What does that say? Like, how does that show when people that they love die rather than themselves, etc., etc.? And then, yeah, I've learned a lot from you and from how you think about death and how we've told the story of death over the campaigns, that even with like the current campaign that we're playing, I made a character who had been dead for a while, 1,000-ish, couple thousand years maybe. Who knows? It's weird timey shit. But he had been dead for 120 years, but also for thousands of years. To explore not necessarily the act of being dead, but amongst other things, what it's like to come back to people who have been missing you in some way, shape or form, when you, like, for the most part, didn't really care. And being confronted with like being a source of hurt for other people when you hadn't, for one reason or another, been thinking about it all that time. And I find that more interesting. Like, the impact that being dead had on others is more interesting than the fact that he died.
Yeah, like the full stop of death, I find it just, people's fixation with it to be so limiting and so uncreative and so boring and so...
Stop it, Lamp.
Whoa.
Stop.
Oh, I listened.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh, hang on. Kill it. I should do it. Yeah, I like when people I like when the traditional ideas of death are challenged. I also think that like our understanding of death is far more indigenous. It is like deeply...
I mean, even in the game itself that we play, like death and the goddess of death and the various entities that have been death were based on like the Maori goddess of death, Atua.
Yeah, Hinenui Te Po. Yeah. I love her. I adore her. She is my favorite.
Shouts out
to Hinenui Te Po. Whoa, my love.
You.
I adore her. She is fantastic and beautiful and amazing, and I love everything about her. So obviously, I wanted death to not mirror exactly, but take inspiration from, the ways that she interacts with death and guides death, and just the way that she does death things as the god of death. Like, love her to pieces. And so our death looks more like that than it does Western death, as in you die, you go to heaven, or you go to hell. Boring. Move on.
The divine gate and all that.
Yeah.
In D&D.
Who needs it?
Realms. Yeah. Which I think is interesting playing.
Yeah.
Or, well, I don't... Because you're essentially the only DM I've ever had.
Right.
And this is really the only world I've ever played. It's not true, but you are pretty... Almost. Like... The most of the D&D I've played, 98% has been DM'd by you.
Yeah, but you've also played with some pretty terrible DMs.
Sure, but what I'm trying to say is that I imagine for other people coming into a game like ours, like all the one-shots and stuff that we've done with other people that do play D&D in their own circles, coming into our game, even I'm not sure how often they've been faced with death, per se, but like... It must be quite jarring and confusing, I guess, to go from like the traditional fantasy sense of the Forgotten Realms death, and being met with something that is so like rules loose. Yeah, like it's, I don't know, it's like rules loose, but also we feel how it's supposed to be. Yeah, and maybe that's probably the indigeneity of it all. But yeah, I don't know. It's like. The way that we do death and the way that you do death in the game, it feels natural. Okay. Like it feels like it comes naturally. The way that we interact with her, and the way that we interact with people when they die, or like the way that it impacts a character, feels like it comes naturally to me in a way that I think the Western sense would feel like a show.
Like a show?
Like putting on a costume, kind of. Right. Like what we're doing feels like it's me. Yeah. It feels like it is the way that I am supposed to be doing death. Yeah. As opposed to if I did it some other way, it would be like I was playing a game.
Yeah. So what? This is getting deep all of a sudden. Like what is your understanding of death? Like, truly...
I thought we'd do an episode about death at another point, but hey, here.
We're here. I think, like, so, again, D&D as therapy, strange. I have strange feelings about it, but at the same time, using the table. For me, I've used the table as a place to grow and become more of the person that I am. And, like, I wouldn't be trans without D&D. I wouldn't be gay without D&D. I wouldn't be more in touch with my indigeneity without D&D, without my Māoriness. Like, so much of who we are, we got to explore and beta test in D&D before we actually, ran it out to the real world. But I think for me, like, death, like, I processed a lot of my relationship with death through D&D. And I didn't do it. A lot of it was, like, in my own head. It wasn't, like, there were parts of it that were at the table in the moment with other people, but a lot of it was just like me processing like how it would work mechanically, and that helped me process it like how it works for me in my own mind. And like the way that Hinenui Te Po will, like, my belief, I love her and I want her to whisk me away at the end and just look after me and walk with me and be with me until I'm good and I'm okay, and then I can just wander on my own. And then she'll visit me every now and then, and I'll go visit her, and it'll be fine. and it's just chill, you know. So much of like that relationship to Hinenui Te Po and to death itself, I processed in D&D, or at least thinking about D&D, not necessarily at the table, but just thinking about how it works,
like writing
for the game, writing
for the game, yeah,
in my own head or on paper or wherever, yeah.
So you're asking me what
is your relationship to death? Has the D&D, the way that we do D&D death, has that at all affected the way that you think about death?
Yeah.
Or,
if you're asking me what I think happens when we die,
I don't know.
I haven't got thoughts about that.
Okay.
I don't know. And frankly, I don't care. But I think the way that we do death in D&D has helped me learn what I feel about, like, my emotions about death. Like, for example, we started this campaign last year, 2025, like pretty much just after my nana died. And I do think some of the ways that we deal with death in D&D, not just in this current campaign, but in our last couple of campaigns, has taught me how to process my emotions around death and loss and grief. And I don't know if it's in like a healthy way or anything like that. Like, I think it is. I do think that the way that I process my own feelings and reflect on my own feelings while we play D&D is quite healthy. And I don't think it's damaging or like exploitative or anything of the other people that we're playing with. But I think it was good at teaching me like a level of acceptance around death. Like, because death in our game, the goddess, based on Hinenui Te Po, and also all the conversations that we've had about Hine and death in general outside of D&D, has taught me a lot about accepting death and like the inevitability of it, and the I guess as well, to talk about my current character, Kata. He was dead for a long time. He worked as a reaper for the goddess of death for a long time, and has, I think, I haven't really thought about it that much till right now. Like, I've thought about it a little bit, but I haven't explicitly sat down, thought about the relationship between starting to play Kata like the week after my nana died. Like, his acceptance of death and his love for the dead and for caring for dead souls, I think, helped me a lot with my processing of grief. Because I'd just never been really confronted with like death that much, other than like pets, which I also wasn't very healthy about dealing with my whole life. Because it's difficult with pets, I think. You can't like talk to them, but you don't talk to them before they die. Like, you don't have a conversation with them and all of that. And you build longer relationships with people generally than you do with pets before they pass as well. That it's like, I don't know. I had an easier time learning to accept that my nana had passed with playing Kata, because he is so like gentle with death and understanding of people dying.
It's true.
And like, in the game of D&D, in the game that we play, of the journey that comes afterwards, he's like so used to it and knows that it's the naturalness of it, I think, that we play in D&D that I really appreciate.
And when you say naturalness, you mean like dying is natural? Yeah,
dying will happen.
Not like the naturalness is which it like it happens and you're like, oh yeah, this feels natural. This is normal to me. This is like, I'm so like, this is what I expect, or Like, what are you?
I mean, like, dying as a natural part of the cycle of life.
Yeah.
It's like it is inevitable and it happens to everyone.
Yeah.
It's like last meals with Josh from Mythical Kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
We all got to eat and we're all going to die.
Mm-hmm.
It is just like this natural thing that will happen to everybody. And sure, in the D&D world, there's Revivify and all of that crap. And you can hold it off for whatever period of time, but inevitably you will die, or someone that you love dies, or you will kill someone in D&D and be responsible for somebody's death, and you have to deal with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Those are my thoughts about death. I have so many more.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
But
we'll get there.
Yeah.
I love it. Therapy at D&D, at the D&D table.
Yeah.
Wild.
There's a lot of it.
There's a lot of it.
Another thing.
We are
before we wrap up.
On. Yep.
We are getting on. Before we wrap up, another thing I just wanted to quickly say that I think is an important part of D&D is therapy, and that it's okay. And I think using D&D as an outlet, a creative outlet to explore your own feelings and your own thoughts about things is like being aware of your character choices and reflecting on them afterwards. You're our forever DM.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
For you.
Yeah.
But wonderful for me, because I'm a forever PC.
Wow, lucky you.
JK, one day.
Yep.
It's
been 8 years.
It's been 8 years.
I'm not holding
out. One day it'll happen. I really we do it every time after a session pretty much, and between sessions, and is probably what we're going to do a lot on this podcast as well, is reflecting on the choices that I make and that other players make and that the NPCs make as well. And yeah, like processing it in the days between, I think teaches me a lot about myself, which I think is one of the main things that therapy is for. I wouldn't know. I've never done therapy other than D&D.
Yeah.
So who am I really to speak on D&D as therapy when I've never done therapy before in my life?
All right.
But it teaches me a lot about myself and the way that I'm feeling to just think and reflect on what I've done in game. And like, I recognize when my character is making a choice that I personally wouldn't make, but I have been given the opportunity through D&D to explore what it would be like to make that choice and how it makes me feel. And one day, 1 month, whenever in this podcast, we'll have an episode, inevitably, we need to, about bleed.
Yep, about bleed. 2 seconds. What is bleed?
Bleed is... have you ever played Assassin's Creed?
God.
Bleed is when the character and yourself start to bleed into each other, and the lines between them blur.
Not in a like weird, egotistical, narcissistic kind of way, but also maybe sometimes, who knows. But basically, when something like happens to your character in the game and it makes them feel some sort of emotions or feelings or some sort of way, those feelings bleed into reality, and like you have to process them yourself outside of your character to figure out what it is they mean for you. Yeah. That's bleed.
Which I think is inevitable and will happen to everybody if you play D&D enough or relate to the character that you're playing enough. And processing that after, I think the post D&D debriefs are as important as the game itself. And processing all of those things and figuring out where I end and the character begins is also an important part of the D&D as therapy. And we've talked briefly about it as well, about like without D&D we probably wouldn't be trans and queer and as confident in our indigeneity and all of that stuff. And you know as well as I do how much the last character that I played kind of changed who I am fundamentally. But it like, whoa.
Oh, it died.
It died.
Damn.
Our gay light.
No.
It's gone. It's okay. We're almost finished. It's just the therapy for me of D&D is a lot of that figuring out who I am and who I am not through playing a character.
Yeah.
And that's good and healthy, and I think important. And one of the things that people don't think about when they talk about not using the D&D table as therapy. When people say don't do therapy at your D&D table, they essentially just mean don't trauma dump on your friends without their permission.
Yeah.
And without it being a safe space for everybody where you're like looking after each other when if it does happen.
Mm-hmm. Don't do that.
Don't trauma dump on your friends.
Trauma dump on your friends. It's not good.
It's not nice.
No one likes it.
There's scenarios where you are supposed to like share those things with each other and get support from others. And unless it's explicitly stated, D&D's not that.
D&D's not that.
But it is a place to explore your identity and who you want to be and ideas and issues that you have in the world already and tackle them with your friends and family.
And reflect and grow and become more yourself through, community and understanding and like telling true, meaningful stories. Like that is good and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, that's the therapy episode.
That's the therapy episode. We didn't really talk a lot about therapy.
We didn't. And I think that's going to be the theme for every episode is that we're going to introduce our topic and then kind of talk about it, but not really. And kind of talk about everything else, but also therapy.
This is one of those things that like could easily be a PhD thesis on its own. Like just talking about how people interact with things and process their traumas, emotions, feelings, who they are, and become themselves.
We're just using D&D as the catalyst.
We're just using D&D as the catalyst. This is a thing. This is a topic that could be talked about till the end of time, and we have an hour and a half.
Yeah,
we're not going to do that, but we have talked about it a bit. Maybe given people some ideas, given us shared our thoughts. Maybe just like.
Maybe not. Who knows?
Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe we're just like talking shit, and that's okay too.
Whatever. I had a whole plan. We had a whole plan.
Yes.
We, as a team.
Yes.
Thought about introing, briefly teasing. A teaser.
Yeah.
Of the next episode's theme.
Yeah.
But we haven't actually decided what the next one's going to be. We're doing one a month. So see you next month.
See you next month
for the next one.
More of this.
Who knows? Maybe we wanted to start with the heavy hitters. Maybe we'll just go straight to racism.
What did we do? We said it was going to be something. Academia.
Do we want to do academia second?
I don't know.
Maybe we should do. I was talking about this with my PhD supervisor the other day. Venn diagrams and how they're like, or even though they're corny and cliche, they're like the most effective graph ever.
Venn diagrams.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe we do all the circles of the Venn diagram that make us.
Yeah.
And this podcast what it is.
Like, if.
But then that's like 20,000 circles.
If people haven't already figured out our the way that we interact with D&D, it's very academic.
Yeah.
There's very cerebral, very wordy, and there's a lot going on.
Low key, high key.
Yeah.
I don't think I could talk for an hour and a half about academia. Like, what would we even say? We'll see next month anyway, I suppose.
We'll see. Who knows what's going to be? Who knows? We'll figure it out.
I keep forgetting to look at the camera, but then I do directly address the camera when it's funny.
Yeah. Like Jim Halpert.
Yeah, sure.
We need to get something here. Just this big white space.
This is a manufactured bit.
But it's true. I want to we were thinking of changing.
We should make a little hand-painted sign or something.
Change something up here every time.
Oh, you want to do something different every episode?
Remember how I was saying show and tell? We could do a show and tell. We have something here. Maybe a different piece of art or something. Who knows?
Yeah, sure. Something.
It'd be something.
Put something in there.
Yeah,
whoa.
It'd be fun.
What's that?
There's the door.
Careful.
It's doing something funny. All right.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming to the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't talking directly. Thanks for coming to the floor.
Yeah.
It's been good. We talked about therapy and D&D.
Wow.
And we're queer and Indigenous, and that's what we do.
Wow. Look at us. What is the name of the podcast?
You want to go?
You want to go?
You want to go?
You want to go?
Oh. Do you want to go?
You want to go?
Yeah. That's pretty.
You want to go?
No.
You want to go? You want to go?
Yeah, all right. Come at me.
Come at me. No, I'll get destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not.
Okay, that's the end of the podcast. Thanks for coming.
Okay, bye.
Hope you enjoyed.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ka kite.
Ka kite ano.